Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
So welcome back to another day in Chicago, another day on the Lightning Strike. And I am your host, Mohammed Fahim. We are joined by our guest host today and our team. Mike Patino is joining us. Chris Hilbert is in the studios, and also Ray Hanania is joining us today. Good morning to everyone. And
hey, buddy.
We got a humdinger of a show again. Okay, every single day, as long as Trump is in office, it's a gift that keeps on giving for us over here. But today I wanted to connect the dots that they hope that we never will, right? Because when Washington talks strategy, folks, we are paying for it, 1 gallon at a time. So what's happening in the Middle East, we'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at a lot of other things that we want to connect with today, including the fact that we just recently had, remember guys, we had a No Kings protest recently?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember.
So now
Sure.
our governor is trying to come in with a couple of ideas that are not sitting well with a lot of people. And we will go into it in more detail. We'll have the mayor of Plainfield, John Argedelis, joining us today to talk about this. And this is an edict or an edict or whatever, man. My English sucks, okay? But, that the governor is coming down with as far as zoning is concerned. So we will take a look at that. There's a bunch of other topics that I want to talk about today, including the fact, hey, Ray, you want to say something about Viktor Orban and what happened with him?
Viktor Orban. Well, what do you say about the guy? It's it's just he's that Hungarian lawyer who lost. He was Trump's guy. Trump has backed a lot of people, and it's slowly, even across the country, not just in the U.S., he's losing ground and he's losing support, not just among the people who support him, but among people that were just sitting there just kind of watching things. So
is there a lesson to be learned over here for us? That's where I was going with this, Ray.
Well, no, I don't know if there's a lesson. It just shows you how deep the problems that Trump has goes, that it would impact something even outside of the United States, a political movement there that has so many other factors, besides just Trump. But he's the main factor. He's the reason the guy lost.
Hey, Ray, I agree with you, but I also want to give credit to our vice president, man. Come on, he went and
for adding to the tumult. The problem is that Trump is he's a personality. He's not a politician. He's a personality, and you either are a sycophant, a minion maybe, but you're not a vice president. You don't really hold a title with him. You're there as a prop for him. So J.D. Vance just kind of takes off, like as he did with the Pope, attacking the Pope. How do you defend the president? His remarks against the Pope and the stuff that he said. And Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, they changed it as Secretary of Defense. All these little things, when they're combined, they tell you what this guy is really doing. Pete Hegseth quotes Pulp Fiction and said it's from the Bible. And I'm sitting there going, wow, that was an amazing scene in a Hollywood movie. But suddenly it becomes the policy of the Secretary of War when he quotes a mad killer before he murders somebody. And that is the justification that when he prays to thank God we saved this American airman who was lost,
Yeah.
for a few days in Iran. So this is like Alice in Wonderland. This is more than just politics. This is a
Yeah.
sickness that's taking place in this country and spreading
Yep.
across the world.
And we will talk about that in detail, Ray. Folks, it is crazy what is happening. And if you don't wake up now, man, we'll have lost the country, okay? The number to call in, by the way, if you want to join the conversation, Mike, you got the new number?
Oh, yes, but now I have to look on my phone.
Okay, 773-774-8585. Okay,
All
so
right.
our call-in number has changed, and the call-in segment is, of course, sponsored by Ray Hanania. It's called What's on Your Mind, Ray. Thank you for doing that.
I'm
So,
in a blur. Yeah, Mohammed, this is a blur. I mean, when you asked me about Orban, it was like there are 50 Orban issues going on. There are 50 Pete Hegseths. I have to sit there and I have to look. I can't even keep up. This morning, I just wrote about the Pope. There were so many things going on. Normally, I would have written about it when it happened on Easter. Now it's like, you can't keep up with this. This is the disturbing thing. It's not just bad, it's overwhelmingly bad. And it's
absolutely.
and it's killing people.
And I think, Ray, there is a method to the madness. Okay. And that's where I wanted to go for this, folks, because while Washington is talking strategy, we are paying for it 1 gallon at a time. And that's my morning rant. Let's start where it hurts. Okay. Gas prices are climbing again. We know that. Our president comes out and says that, hey, it's likely to go higher. The guy has never filled a gas tank in his life. Okay. Groceries haven't come down. Oh, no, you'll have to bear with it. This guy has never shopped for groceries. I can guarantee you that. Your tax refund feels smaller, thinner, almost symbolic, right? And yet we are told the economy is strong. Strong for who? Because out in the real world, folks, Americans are asking a very simple question. If this is strength, why does it feel like a struggle for all of us? And here is where the story takes a turn. They don't want to explain too clearly. Out in the Strait of Hormuz, tensions are escalating, right? The president comes out and says, oh, Strait is open. Israel says, no, it's not open. And then Iran says it's open, and then it's not open. Military maneuvers, strategic positioning, the kind of moves that don't make headlines until they explode into something bigger. But oil markets, they don't wait for the headlines. Have you been to the pump recently? They react instantly. Prices surge, energy costs rise, and just like that, foreign policy becomes personal for all of us. You didn't start the war. You didn't vote on a war. You weren't even asked for approval, folks. But you are absolutely paying for it. And, we have to keep watching for it. You're paying for it at the pump, at the checkout line, at the kitchen table. So let's call it what it is. This is a war with a receipt. Now, while all that is happening, something else is quietly moving through Washington. A new surveillance law, a powerful one, the kind that allows intelligence agencies to monitor communications without a traditional warrant. You don't get to hear about this, folks. They keep you so busy talking about the war and about gas prices and groceries. And suddenly the same voices that once warned about the government overreach are now saying, trust us. Trust who? Trust you? In a moment of rising global conflict, in a moment of domestic anxiety, in a moment when fear is the easiest tool to use, history has taught us clearly something, okay? Government power expands fastest when people are told to be afraid. Afraid of your neighbors, afraid of each other. So the question isn't whether surveillance makes us safer. The question is who decides when it goes too far. And more importantly, will anyone stop it when it does? Now let's widen the lens a little bit. We are watching what looks like diplomacy in the Middle East. Ceasefires, statements, carefully worded optimism. But behind the curtain, escalation, positioning, pressure. It's like watching two movies at the same time, Mike. In one version, there's peace. In the other, there's preparation for something bigger. And the
Right.
American people are left trying to figure out which one is real. Here is a hint, folks. When actions and words don't match, believe the actions. Back home, the economic story gets even more disconnected. Markets are fluctuating, you know that. But that remains resilient. Corporate profits hold strong. Investments in new technologies is booming, especially in one area, artificial intelligence. We'll be joined in the second hour, at the end of the hour, with Prasad Madhavuri, who's an expert in this field. Billions of dollars are pouring in. Companies raising to automate, optimize, replace. And while we are told that this is progress, right? Maybe it is. But for millions of workers, it doesn't feel like innovation. It feels like uncertainty. Because while CEOs talk about efficiency, workers are asking, am I next? Man, the political ground is shifting, folks. A progressive wave is building in places many didn't expect. Voters are sending signals that the status quo isn't working, not on the economy, not on the war, not on trust. And when voters lose trust, they don't just adjust gently, right? They disrupt. And we are seeing that. A potential war is driving up your cost of living, a government expanding its surveillance powers, a global stage where peace and escalation exist side by side, an economy that looks stable on paper but feels unstable in reality. Man, I can go on ranting, folks, but I want you all to join the conversation. So, Chris, Mike, Ray, take it on.
Well, wanted to add something earlier about Orban. I mean, to me, it gives me a little hope that after 16 years, it took the people 16 years to finally get rid of him. We've only had Trump for a little bit of time, right? And people are already upset and ready to go, go out in the streets. So I think that the American people are finally waking up. I think the progressive leadership that's coming up within the ranks of the Democratic Party is starting to make some inroads. Ro Khanna, who we had as a guest on this show, is doing an excellent job. And people are sick of authoritarianism. They're sick of it, and they're fed up. And if we can do that if they can do that to Orban, we can do that to Trump and the rest of the um, blue MAGA, red MAGA cabal that's out there uh, quietly trying to undermine our democracy, right? So I think we're heading in the right direction finally.
Yeah, I think it's a crime wave of, and not just the political crime wave. I think a lot of these actions that are being taken are war crimes. I think they're crimes. I think they're violations of the rule of law. I think these are far worse than even what we feel they are. And at some point, when this is over, they may come back and prosecute these people. And there's a level of crime. There are two levels of crime. There's one level of crime where a person commits a crime and it's one instance and you prosecute him, you get him, you follow the procedure. There's the other type of crime, which is a mafia crime, which is like an organized effort of a series of crimes that are filled with distractions, that are one after another. And the prosecution of the crime doesn't happen as fast as the guy who, let's say, robs a 7-Eleven and he gets arrested and he's charged. This is when you do 10, 20 different crimes over a period of time, the focus, the prosecution slows down and it becomes a very painful thing. The more what this is a strategy on Trump's part. He
Right.
isn't just doing what he wants to do. He's doing everything because he knows he's distracting us from the prosecution of a crime, dragging us into politics, getting us to fight with each other, getting us to argue about things that we should take for granted, that we're arguing about. We're being distracted. This is disturbing at a level I've never seen in my entire life.
Right.
I'm as far as the prosecution goes of Trump and his administration, I'm really deeply concerned and worried that Democrats, nationwide, local, state, federal, doesn't matter. They're going to be all in on, well, we can't prosecute them for the good of the nation. That's
Right.
my concern.
Yep.
And at that point, then we really become, what's the point of having a constitution if the president can basically rewrite and ignore parts of it that they don't like? And I think we probably need to start making sure that the people we elect, they will hold Trump and his administration accountable for all of their grifting and their crimes, and including what they've done on the stock market. You know, they've made billions of dollars. They know in advance when Trump is going to say something about the war, the stock market goes up. They've made, I don't know, I can't even remember the number, something like $20 billion overnight.
That's a story.
Jeez.
That's a story that nobody is covering. The
Right.
fact that he's there. This is insider trading. He
That's the
makes
word I was-
pronouncements to make profit for his
Yeah.
wealthy people. It's just really disturbing. You touched on something that's really important. It's not just about Trump. That's why the country is divided, because they think, oh, you hate Trump or you hate Biden. No, it's about the political system. The Democrats set the stage for
Yes.
Donald Trump to become president through bad leadership and bad policies and compromising principles. They're responsible as much as, and maybe not as much as Trump, because he's just taken the ball and he's running with it. But they're part of the problem, and that has to be addressed too.
Yes, it does. It's been one of my complaints for 25 years, 30 years now, is the weenie, I call them weenie Dems. They don't fight. They just like, oh, okay, fine, we'll do what the Republicans want. We'll even place the tax cuts for the wealthy, and we'll just raise the taxes on the workers, and here we are.
But the trend is changing. I mean, we saw that vote in the Senate where 40, I think it was 40 Democrats voted in favor of a bill that would prevent the funding and giving of bombs to the government of Israel. And let me just explain something. You know, what Trump wants to do, and the people that defend Israel, Netanyahu, is they say Netanyahu is Israel. He's not Israel. He's a government. We can criticize government. I hate governments. I love governments. It has nothing to do with Israel. That's a whole separate thing. Netanyahu is a criminal. 40 Democrats stood up to him, and the leader of the Democratic Party, Schumer, got up and defended Netanyahu, and he said, I'm not going to undermine Israel. Fetterman did the same thing. That's part of the problem, the confusion. And you know what's really feeding it too? We don't have enough programs like yours, Mohammed. The media is dying. Nobody can report this stuff. Nobody is following these things the way it needs to be followed. 30 years ago, this would never have happened because the media would not be the puppets. They're being manipulated by the Trump or the Democrats or the Republicans. They're just not there being the voice that they're supposed to be.
Well, here's the thing, Ray, and I'm glad you brought out the media aspect of it, because more and more corporates are coming in and buying up all the media. We know what happened with WGN over here in Chicago market, for example, right? This company comes out of Texas, buys them out, fires 9 of their on-air people, like just like that, with the snap of their fingers. So yeah, I mean, journalists are afraid to cover things. Independent media is almost dead, and I'm so glad that WCPT gives a voice to progressive radio to talk about these things without stifling our voice. I don't know how long that's going to continue, okay? If that is something that is not going to continue. We will continue the show on internet radio regardless. Okay, there's so many other mediums out there that we can get the voice out. My issue has always been with our Democratic Party leadership. Like you guys were
Right.
pointing out,
Exactly.
these guys don't have the spine anymore, right? Their spine is gone. For Chuck Schumer to come up and just say no, where we are going to be sending what $150 million worth of 1,000-pound bombs.
Even Rahm Emanuel came
Yeah.
out, and I don't agree with Rahm Emanuel, but he came out the other day and he said, you know what? When it comes to giving money and bombs to Israel, Israel's government, I'm not in support of that. He didn't say he wasn't going to defend Israel. Rahm Emanuel said that we need to stop arming these tyrants who lead these countries to disaster. And that's what Netanyahu is doing, isn't he? Israel is the least popular that it's ever been today because of Netanyahu. Oh, anybody who supports Israel should be saying, we got to get rid of Netanyahu to save Israel. But instead, they've turned it around like, oh, Ray Hanania is anti-Semitic because he criticizes Israel. The fact is that they call you names when they can't argue the facts.
That is so true. And they keep on throwing this word anti-Semitic around, right? Like it's a slur now. Nothing, I mean, nothing against the country of Israel, nothing against the Jewish people. It is about the actions of a few Zionists over there that they don't want us to talk about, okay? And the moment we say anti-Semitic or oh no, you're this and you're that, the bots come out. If you notice on social media even, the moment we say something, boom, there's like an army of people. I don't even think they are people. These are bots that are coming out and attacking us. Folks, feel free to voice your opinion again. 773-774-8585 is our new number to call in. The number has changed from the previous WCPT number. So if you had put WCPT on your speed dial, please change it. Mike remembers that number very well, right, Mike?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. I don't know, Ray, what the heck is happening with me? The older I grow, my brain is getting sharper and sharper.
Well, you listen, the audience needs to do more to support this program. They absolutely have to do that because there aren't that many programs where these issues that we're talking about can actually be dissected properly. It's not a criticism of Israel. It's not the people of Israel. It's not a criticism of Jews. It's not anti-Semitism. It's actually about protecting Israel and protecting the Palestinians, the moderates. There's a whole side of this that's pushed aside by the word anti-Semitism and people that want to just use this. So they'll attack you, they'll attack me, they'll attack people that appear with you because they won't address the issues. And that's really part of the problem. And if they can't address the issues because they can't, there's no defense for what they're doing. They're just going to call you names. And the worst one is to say, well, you're anti-Semitic. And that gets people to stop. And regular people out there go, oh, well, maybe. Part of the problem is in my community, the Arab community. I have to be honest with you. We are part of the problem. We don't know how to argue. We don't know how to debate sometimes. We don't know how to dissect. That we attack Israel. We use the words, the Jews did this or the Jews did that. No, it's not the Jews.
Yep.
It's not even Israel. It's a government. The same way I criticize Joe Biden or I criticize George W. Bush. We can criticize Netanyahu, and we need to make sure our rhetoric focuses and gets better to address the issues. If we're going to want to make it about the issues, we need to become better and not fall into this emotional trap where we get angry because some of these things are so shocking. You want to cry when you see women and children killed. You want to, it's just horrible. The UN just came out with a report this week that in all of the war against Gaza, every day, 47 women and children, every day have been killed. These are innocent people. 47 women and children, girls a day were killed every day of that war, and it's continuing. That's an issue that we should be addressing, but we can't because of the emotions, the confusion, and the attacks. That's why a program like yours and with Mike and Chris and everybody on the program, the people need to hear that voice because it's a response to the bias that we get in the media.
And Ray, here's the thing. Again, and more people, they come out to protest on the streets, but they don't come out and vote.
Right.
And if they do
Right.
come out and vote, they don't research the candidates and their stands. They just come out blindly and vote. And most of the time, the people that are voting are how do I call it? The cult followers.
Well, you call them the machine. You call it the machine because when you're an elected official, you do have people who support you, and 90% of your supporters who thrive on your, election are going to come and vote. The people who don't vote are the taxpayers, the ones that have to pay for all those people. And I'm not saying all politicians and elected officials are bad. There are a lot of great ones, but it is a mentality where the people that have a stake vote, and the taxpayers who have the biggest stake don't realize that they have a stake.
Well, Mike is coming up and texting me a message saying that you're out of focus, Mohammed. I don't know what the heck is wrong with my camera today. So, well, most of the people are listening to us on the radio, so they're hearing my voice. The out of focus thing. I try to adjust that, but somehow something is wrong with my camera today. I think they're surveilling my camera. Okay.
It's Kristi Noem's successor that they're coming after you, Mohammed.
Hey, Mohammed, let me get back, touch base real quick on what you were saying about the anti-Semitic. I get called that only by people that are really totally 100% for Netanyahu. I mean, these people are just rabid Netanyahu followers. They think he is their savior, and there's nothing that he does that's wrong with them. So, when I was during the DNC convention down to Union Park, and I was actually talking to people, not on Facebook or on social media, actually talking to live human beings down there protesting the DNC convention because of course, all we know about what they were doing, excluding the delegates. Park, and I was actually talking to people.
Okay, we can hear you. Okay, again, Mike. I don't know what's happening.
That's kind of cute. Protesting the DNC.
You're getting an echo about your voice.
I am.
Yep. Now it's better. But again, here's the thing, Ray, and thank you so much for asking people to support the program. Yeah, we are trying to keep it ad-free as much as possible, because when you start getting corporate advertisers, they start telling you what to say and what not to say. Okay. And that is something that is not good for any independent media. And folks, if you want to support the show, you can go to our website, tlsradio.com. We have recently launched a new website, which has a tab in there that you can support our program by becoming a monthly subscriber, or you can send a one-time gift through the website. So tlsradio.com, just scroll down and you can see how you can support the program to keep talks like this active. I really wanted to address now the issue that you guys are bringing up, the word anti-Semitic. Ray, you are an Arab. Okay. You are probably the best Semite that I have seen. So how do you define a Semite, Ray?
Well, I mean, listen, these are words and phrases. The truth is that Hananiah is a Jewish Hebrew word. We're Christians. My mother's from Bethlehem. My family, my dad is from Jerusalem. So at some point along the line, they were Jewish. Maybe 2, 3, 4 generations ago, they were probably Jewish. They converted to Christianity. That's not to say that being Jewish is bad. It's just that they believed, and they followed Jesus. And then there's some Hananiahs that even converted to Islam. that are Muslim. So they're in the Middle East where religion has begun, and those are Semites are people that I mean I hate to use that term because it kind of narrows the range. If you believe in morality, if you believe in justice, if you believe in a religious belief, Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, I think you are Semitic. And I think that a lot of the people who claim to be Semitic are not Semitic. They're converts. They come from all over the world. So the use of the word Semitic is strictly a bludgeon. It's a club to beat you up.
Right.
And because it has such a label, a strong label, they just use that. It doesn't need any explanation. It's a bomb. It's like a nuclear bomb that they throw on you to destroy you. And that's a type of destructive thing that not only kills the bad, but it kills all the innocent. You drop a bomb on a city, and 90% of the people who are killed are innocent people. But that's what that does. So I like to point out that that it's our responsibility, though, to be smart about how we discuss these issues and not allow emotions to turn it into a personal thing against somebody. It's not about being Jewish. It's not even about being Christian or Muslim. It's about, are you a moral person? Do you believe in the rule of law? Do you respect a person that you may disagree with? If you can't say yes to those things honestly, you're a problem. And I think that's how we need to define things. But, emotion destroys that sometimes.
Yep. Thank you so much. I mean, that is such a great explanation, folks. And I think it has to do with also coming from that region, so most of the people over there, I think the Palestinian people are more Semitic than somebody like Netanyahu.
He's Polish. He's from Poland.
Yeah, he comes in from Poland. His last name is not even Netanyahu.
Malinowski, I think.
Malinowski or something like
or whatever.
that. So the guy comes in. It's kind of like saying Islamic terrorist. Okay, that
Right.
has been thrown around so much also, again, to obfuscate things, Islamic terrorist. The word Islam itself means peace, folks. So how can you have a peaceful terrorist?
I remember I debated Abba Eban in the 1970s when I was a young kid. And Abba Eban was Israel's most eloquent spokesperson and foreign minister. I was on Cup Show. It was a national program. And Abba Eban was ranting about the stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then Cameron said, your real name is Aubrey Solomon. You were born in South Africa. I don't even know if you're really Jewish or maybe you converted, but now you can live in Jerusalem. My father was born in Jerusalem. His grandfather was born in Jerusalem. Every ancestor he had was born in Jerusalem, but he can't live there because he's a Christian, because you said he can't live there. And on the show, he was like shocked. How could you argue something like that when we can argue the Benelux system and all these other political worthless arguments he wanted to make? And then he finally said, listen, I will make sure that you get a citizenship in Israel and in Jerusalem if you want it. I said, what about the other 3 million, 6 million Ray Hananias that are out there? Are you saying the exact same thing to them? So when you know how to fight them and hit the one spot, their Achilles heel, that shook up Abba Eban, and he completely lost it. After the show, Cup's wife yelled at me and said, I'm never having you back on my program again. But Cup and I became good friends, but Essie was always upset with me because of that.
Ray, if you want to bring anyone on the lightning strike and have them discuss these things, feel
I'm happy to.
So we have an open invitation for you to bring in any guest that you want, because this is so important for us, Ray. While
Yes.
we are doing this show, people are often ask me, why are you doing this? What is in it for you? I'm like,
Yeah, what is it in it for you? You sacrifice your popularity. People hate you that may never have thought about you. You put your life on the line. You spend money. You spend
Yeah.
time. All your friends, Mike, Chris, and Brasad that are on the program, you're sacrificing and you
Okay.
get attacked like somehow you're doing this for some benefit. What benefit do you get except abuse
You're
in
just
Well,
living
today's
the
political
dream.
world?
Living
and
Yeah.
the dream.
and threats. Okay, let's not
Yes.
forget threats. I mean, I had an anonymous letter in the mail addressed to me at my home address, coming from Des Moines, Iowa. Okay, no return address. So yesterday morning, I went to our local police department. I talked with the chief on the phone. He said, "Hey, I'm driving. I'm somewhere in the boondocks going to watch a ball game." And I'm like, "Chief, I got this letter in the mail. What do you want me to do?" He said, "Please go to the police department. I'll call them up and at least get it on record that someone has threatened you." And it was a typewritten slip in there calling me all kinds of names, including that I'm a jihadist. I'm like, okay, fine. Okay, you want to lay that game on me? You should have at least the guts to put your name on it. So a lot of the times, these people who are bullies don't even want to put their name on things, right? Got to watch out, folks. Got to watch out. It's our country. We got to take it back. And that is one of the reasons why we are doing this show. Like tomorrow, when our children and grandchildren are reading through history books and they look at us and say, uh, Dad, Grandpa, what did you do when this was happening? Why did you keep silent? We got Prasad in the room now, and Prasad, I'll introduce you later on in our second hour. Prasad is going to be talking to us about who he is and what he is doing. We recently met at a wedding party, and we started talking. That's how things develop. Okay, so Prasad, at least if you can unmute and say hello to our audience over here.
Hi, hello, gentlemen and lady. I appreciate, nice meeting you, at least virtually on the radio, especially, right? I'm listening to there's a great perspectives you bring to the table, and I mean that's exactly what Fahim does. It gets, he gets you those things out of you, in a such, wonderful way. I hope I can also contribute to this, but I think today I'm speaking more on a geeky stuff, on the AI,
Yeah.
cycles and all that stuff. But you guys are talking the real world, Go ahead, please. Congratulations and
Thank you,
best of
Prasad. And I like the magic carpet logo behind you. So
luck.
we'll
Yeah.
we'll bring
And
Prasad on in the second hour, folks, at 9:40 to talk about who he is and what he does. But let's continue the conversation. I think we are not going to get too many phone calls today, Ray, because the station changed their number.
Yeah. You got to keep repeating it. I think I posted it on Facebook
Yep.
so that if people have questions, but people are afraid. There's a fear in this country today. Listen, I have very strong views about immigration. I think that we need to address what I call the illegal issue in our country. It becomes a very contentious debate. Like I'm not sympathetic. I'm very sympathetic. Anybody who comes into this country illegally should be brought through the process and vetted properly.
All
That's what
right,
I want
buddy.
to see happen. That's my issue. But it's not just them. It's anybody who's Muslim. It's anybody who speaks out. A lot of Democrats. Trump and his government want to accuse and charge people. They want to prosecute people. They're going after officials, elected officials, trying to prosecute them because they criticized Trump in the past. He is taking over the law. And what's really dangerous about that is when he takes over the law for one particular issue that impacts him, he actually opens the door to abuse of the law across the board. It isn't just about the person that disrespected him. That's very frightening. And that empowers people to threaten you, to send you emails, to make threats to all of you, to call you names. I get threats all the time. Now, I'm an opinion columnist. I express my opinions. I listen. I don't always agree with everybody, but I try to respect them, even when they're mad at me. I try to respect them. If they can't do that, if Trump can't do that, he's not a good person, and he can't do that.
Well,
Well, let me interject because right
go
now
ahead,
I have
Mike.
a number to call in for everybody who's interested. The number is 773 seven
No,
seven
no,
four
no,
eight
no, no,
five
Mike.
eight five.
Mike, that number has changed, man. It's 773-774-8585.
That's what I just said. 773.
I'm just pulling your leg.
Oh, you messing with me. Stop it. 773-774-8585. And there's people I messaged this morning. Don't be shy. You can make a phone
Okay.
call. Thank you.
Yep. So suddenly they changed the number on us last week, Ray, and I was actually listening to another show on WCPT, and I think it was Edwin's show. And Edwin is like, I still have to get to understand this new number, man. So I'm like, what new number? Okay. But that's what happens, folks. Things keep on changing. One thing which I want you to please, 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 please pay attention to is what the heck is happening in our country. We are hoping to get Mayor Agadelis on this morning. I think he overslept, so he's not on joining us this morning. We'll bring him in another time, or here's an open invitation to come in to talk about this new proposal that the governor is making. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not, Ray. The governor in his State of the State address had a suggestion that Illinois has a shortage of affordable housing.
Right.
We all agree with that. Okay. So he's coming up with this program called the BUILD Build Program, which in a nutshell wants to increase multifamily housing.
Right.
And regardless of what the local zoning laws are.
Right.
Okay. He wants to override the zoning laws and allow like granny flats and in-law things and apartment buildings, multiplexes, basically, not plexes, sorry, multi-housing in areas where they should not be allowed under current zoning laws.
Well,
So,
they want to challenge, right, the local government's ability to decide through their own zoning and everything what should go where in a community. They want to step in and take over that, and
yep.
that's really wrong.
And you can't do that sitting in Springfield. Okay, folks. I mean, I am a planning commissioner over here for the village, and I'm on the zoning board of appeals. These are local issues when they come up. We know our neighborhoods. Okay, the village board, we know our priorities. We have a comprehensive plan for the land use and land management of the village. And these plans are drawn up paying attention to the local needs. You can be sitting down in Springfield and legislating for this, and then you have a bunch of investors, your friends, coming in and putting up these apartment complexes. And before you know it, the homeowners are losing their value. So if you have a piece of land which is 5,000 square feet, which is not much, you are allowed to build multifamily housing on something like that. That is what the governor is proposing. I can see Chris just rolling her eyes. Okay. So folks, come on, man, get up, start challenging the status quo. We are Americans. We are not supposed to take these things lying down, okay? And if
But
you
that,
don't,
but that's what we do, right? When you have 14% turnout at an election in Orland Park in one race, where the most you ever see in a general election is maybe 55% of the people voting only because of the intensity of it. The average is like 20-30% of voter turnout. People are like numbed, right? And the media, who covers that story that you just talked about? I had to do research. Somebody told me that, and I had to research it on my own. And the sad thing, and I know Prasad is going to talk about this later, but there's artificial intelligence that's creating stuff that isn't even true. And I'm having a hard time going, is that a real quote from a real person? Or was that fabricated by artificial intelligence? That's not intelligence. When you make something up, that is artificial unintelligence. That's what we're getting.
Hey, Ray, let's name it what it is. It is stupidity, okay?
It is. It's stupidity. It
Okay.
really is. You know,
Idiots.
they're making us more stupid. Because listen, it used to when I knew the numbers of every one of my phone numbers of every one of my friends. Now I have a cell phone. I don't know the numbers of anybody. I just find their name and I hit a button and the phone. They've taken over my brains. I don't even know directions anymore. I was very directionally perfect. I knew north, south, east, west, any place, wherever I was at, just by looking at the sun or the day of the. Now I have to have navigation tell me how to get someplace. I've lost my brain. They're telling me my computer, even. I was just fighting with my computer. I was trying to type something and it's trying to tell me what I should be typing. And I'm saying, no, that's not the word I'm typing. Stop it. And it's getting worse. These are just everyday things, but it's getting worse, and we're allowing it to happen.
Absolutely. So there's so much to discuss, folks. In the 9 o'clock hour, Congresswoman Marie Newman would be joining us with her guests to talk about the RIFL and what the heck that thing is. Marie is very concerned about that, and we have the two authors of the bill coming in to joining us and join us in the 9 o'clock hour. Again, our phone number here has changed. If you want to join the conversation, it is 773-774. What are the last four digits, Mike?
8585.
8585. Great. And if you want to leave us a message after the show sometime, anytime during the week, you're welcome to call our message line, which is a Google number, but you can always leave us a message on that and we'll play it back for you. That number is 312 TLS for the lightning strike, 312 TLS 8281. Okay, so that's a different number. Write it down, keep it in your records. If you ever want to join the conversations, leave a message, feel free during the week to call and we will play your message on the air over here. Again, this is the Lightning Strike. We come every Sunday morning, 8 to 10. And if you really want to support independent journalism, please go to our website, tlsradio.com. Again, TLS for the Lightning Strike. And scroll down, you will see how you can support the program. You can become a monthly subscriber on different stages. So there are different kinds, starting as low as $10 a month. Okay, so it does not have to be $1,000. But hey, if you want to give us $1,000, feel free. There's a tab in there also that you can put any amount you want to support the program, and it'll come to the account over here. So continuing the conversation, folks, it is very important for us to be aware of our rights. Ray, in Will County, where I am, the voter turnout in the primaries was 15%.
That's terrible.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It's embarrassing.
And most people don't understand that in the primaries, you can vote across party lines. So if you want to take down a strong Democratic candidate, you can go in as a Republican and pull a Democratic ballot in the primary that does not obligate you to vote Democratic in the general election. And you can vote for your opponent's candidate to just knock out a strong Democratic candidate.
That's what they did to that Kat Abu-Ghazala in the 9th district. AIPAC went in, said, oh my gosh, she's going to win the election. We better direct our money towards someone who we don't like, but who can compete with her. And they did advertising to help her. Now, she didn't support that, but that took away votes from Kat. Dan Bliss isn't a bad guy. He's a decent person, but Kat should have won that election. But they manipulated the vote, and the turnout wasn't that strong. And people are unhappy. And you know what? If you don't vote, you lose the right to be happy or unhappy. you lose the right to express your opinion. Voting is the first step about expressing an opinion. If you don't vote, then don't express an opinion. You've given up your right to say what you want people to do.
Well, I put
Yes.
up something on Facebook, guys, that if you did not go out and vote, you don't have the right to complain, so shut up, something to that effect. That post had so many people responding to it. It's crazy. I mean, literally over 700 people have responded to that post now.
Wow.
Were they
And
mad at you or were they supportive?
most of them were supporting it. There were a couple
Okay,
of
good.
people who
Good.
were mad that, oh, you don't have the
Yeah.
right to tell us. Okay, I don't have the right to tell you, but
You
at
have a right
least
to
I have
express
the right to
your
take you
opinion.
by the ears and pull you up by the ears that don't complain if you have not voted.
Yes. You know, I can't tell you how many times Chris and I have said the same thing. And we get all sorts of responses, you know, good, bad, but you know, look at Turkey. Go back to that. 70% of the people voted. 70%. That's how you get change. There's still idiots out there talking about you can't vote your way out of this and all that nonsense.
Well, Mike, that is the only way we have. Back home, where I come from, in India, you know, we have elections over there, and the turnout is massive, massive turnout. And you know, do we elect the right people all the time? Heck no. But we do come out and vote, and that is so important. Mike, I think you lost your light over
I
there.
did. I went dark.
Yeah, somehow you went dark. I'm like, are you back in Hawaii or
It's
what?
it's Homeland Security. They're
Okay.
targeting us. They're
Oh,
targeting us.
the new guy.
There's
Well, at
somebody
least-
knocking at my door. Hold on.
okay. At least it's not the FBI, Ray, because we all heard about what is happening with our FBI director, right?
Yes.
Isn't he missing in action?
Nope. It seems that they have to go and knock on his door and wake him up in the mornings because this guy is going on a binge now. Okay.
Yeah, he's what, showing up drunk almost every day now?
Allegedly. Hey,
Allegedly, yeah.
yeah, facts matter on WCPT. Remember that. So
These are old instruments of bullying and intimidation because I served during the Vietnam War in the Air Force. And the day I got out of the Air Force, honorably discharged, went into the Air National Guard, where I spent 10 years after serving during the Vietnam War, active duty. The FBI opened an investigation of me. They spent $2 million over a 2-year period wanting to know what I was up to. I have the report, and it said that we think Ray Hanania is a terrorist because I would write letters to the editor criticizing foreign policy.
Hey, Ray,
In Time
is
Magazine and Newsweek.
that's the first time I'm hearing about a Christian terrorist, Ray. Come on.
Yes, a Christian terrorist. And they said, how could this Arab get published in Newsweek and Time Magazine? So often I would write these letters. They liked the way I wrote. They published the letters. At the very end of the report, it says, listen, Ray Hanania only cares about his community. He's not a terrorist. But there's an order. No agent is allowed to interview him because he'll write a story about it and make it known that we're doing it. That was in the report at the end of the report. 40 pages, $2 million.
That's too funny.
Okay. Hey, folks, if someone has that kind of money, please throw it at the lightning strike. We would love to take your money and keep these conversations going over here. So we come every Sunday morning, folks, from 8 to 10. We have been doing it for 3 years now. And we have a wide audience across the world listening to us live. And then we go back and put these shows on our YouTube channel. And you can always go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Brendan Bond, our young Turk, is on vacation this week, so he's not joining us. Maria Mozaffar is also busy, tied up in a family wedding, so she will not be joining in the second hour. So we get more time to talk with Prasad in the second hour because Maria will not be joining us. Read Bible has other obligations this morning, so he is not joining us. Also, Dr. Sheila White is not producing, is directing her new movie. So she's tied up till the end of April. And that is why we had a chance to bring in someone like Ray Hanania to talk about things today. And Ray, thank you so much for joining. I mean, I gave him a very
Absolutely.
notice, but I do respect Ray's opinions. And that is something that I don't have too many people that I respect their opinions, Ray.
But they can get my opinions at my website at courageousthought.com or hanania.com. Either one, it goes there. So thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much, you guys.
And folks, Ray is a former Sun-Times City Hall reporter also. So Ray gets to see what is happening in our city of Chicago. Talking about that, we had Alderman, Lopez on the show, Byron Sigma Lopez on the show.
Good guy.
Great guy, and
Good.
that is something that I want to pivot towards.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where
Okay, for
facts
those
matter.
folks who are listening to us on Facebook, the station is taking a break at 9 o'clock for the NBC News and top of the hour obligations that they have to do. And we will continue talking over here. So Byron comes in and talks about that he has to run as an independent, Ray. Again, the system is so messed up. If you want to run as an independent, folks, Byron has to get minimum of 11,000 petition signatures.
Right.
If he was allowed to run in the primary, he would have had to get maybe 500 or 600 signatures or something to qualify to be on the ballot.
The system is made to keep everyday people from running for office.
Right. And what happened in the 4th District over here, Chuy Garcia, who had planned to retire all along, I don't think that it was a sudden revelation to him, like one day before, the submission of the petitions, that I'm not going to run. The guy knew all along that he was not going to run. And he was getting his chief of staff, Patty Garcia, preparing petition signatures and having her petition ready to submit. And then at the last day, Chuy comes up and says, I am not going to run again. I'm retiring. And guess what? There was only one candidate who could have filed to run in the primary. That is manipulation. I'm
Yes.
stunned. Okay. I respect Chuy, has been a good friend of the community. He has supported us in a lot of our causes. But to pull this kind of stunt at the last minute.
Right. It's selfish on his part.
It is selfish.
It
It is almost as selfish as the Democratic Party leadership, leading us all along and not doing anything in the last elections. They had Biden, propping him on the stage, holding him up basically by his pants, and then the last minute bring in Kamala Harris. What the heck is wrong with the Democratic Party?
Yeah, listen, this 4th congressional race that Byron Sigcho Lopez is going to run in, and Chuy Garcia's handpicked, orchestrated candidate, his chief of staff, is going to be running in. I think there's even another person. Chris Getty, the mayor of Lyons, is going to run in that election also. That's going to be the one race, the test, to see what is the spine of politics in the Chicago area. That election will probably be the most interesting election that we're going to see in November, because as you know, all the other races, the Democrats that won the primary elections, they're going to, no one's going to take out Juliana Stratton. She's going to win. Yeah, she's going to be she's a Democratic candidate. Most of the Democrats that win the nomination are going to go on to win the general election. They don't even need an election. That one race though in the 4th District is going to be interesting to see how it pans out and what issues that they raise, to try and change things. Because Chuy Garcia, as good as he has been sometimes, what he did completely erased all the good that he ever did when he was in office by orchestrating his successor so he can continue to control the district without giving it to the voters to decide who should decide.
And that is something that I wonder if APAC is going to come in and throw some money at Patty Garcia. I'm waiting for that to happen because I know that Biden is not going to take any money from them.
Yeah, I doubt if Getty will take any money from them either. But sometimes, listen, APAC took a beating in this last election.
Of course.
They lost a lot of elections, but it has to do with the shift that's taking place in this country. So a lot of people stood up and said, I'm not taking APAC money. For the first time, I've never heard that. And it was across the board. And again, some people say, oh, quit picking on APAC. No, it's not about APAC. It's not about Israel. It's about the politics and the manipulation. There are PACs that do these super PACs, these dark PACs. We should control that. Why should somebody be allowed to get $4 million in a donation from a special interest? I don't care what country they're from or represent, to manipulate our election and tell us how to vote. There's something wrong with that. It shouldn't be allowed, but we allow it because some people benefit from it.
Well, look what happened with Melissa Bean. I mean, $8 million.
Yes.
Radio shots every time pointing her out to be the savior of the world, coming back from retirement to help us. I mean, that's all people saw. And they overwhelmed Janae's campaign 8-1.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a meeting yesterday afternoon in Oak Brook, and where we were analyzing the results of the election and how much money was spent by each candidate and how much money was raised by a candidate and how much external money came into the candidate. We have all the data now. So all the data points were discussed, and I will be bringing it out in a forthcoming show. It's about 9:07, folks. We're waiting for Congresswoman Marie Newman to join us, and our guest is already in here, Anthony Douglas. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Mohammed.
You're more than welcome. So we'll wait to bring you in till Congresswoman Marie Newman comes in. I think you guys are doing something phenomenal. I don't want to take whatever you call it away from Marie, and we'll wait for her to join. Sarah has also joined us. Sarah, good morning. Thank you so much for joining. Waiting for Marie to come in so that she can have a proper discussion with you guys and to talk about the RIFL Act that you guys have authored. It's Sunday morning, folks. We get up early morning. It's been almost 3 years now. We have not missed one Sunday show. So, and it takes about at least 15 hours every week to prepare for the show. So it's not something that I get up in the morning and I say, okay, here's the microphone, let me start talking. Anything and everything that we are saying over here, we do keep a record of all that. So if anyone wants to know what our sources are for what we are talking about, yep, as a journalist, we do keep our records, okay? And I never thought that when I was getting my business career started, Ray, I never thought that I would go back into what I trained for, okay? Because my master's is communication and journalism. And I didn't think that it would come in this handy, but God has a reason for everything. Okay, 9:08. Usually Marie joins in about 2 minutes, so she would be coming in. But continuing the conversation, you think APAC is going to come back into the general election, or are they going to be sneaking in by saying that APAC is not an organization, it's just a name, and if there are individuals who are making the donations? That is an excuse that I have heard from our president.
Well, it's not really APAC. It is a name because what APAC did in the last election, because they saw the trend was to create sub PACs and get money through those sub PACs with generic names like People for the Election of Good People, or just like these like that have no meaning, so that they could distract and lie to the voters. But it's about the money. It's the money and not the name or the organization. It's the people behind that are using this money that want to influence the election. They want to influence the election. It's not just Israel, it's all these political action committees, the dark money, the super PACs. These are wealthy people that recognize that only 20% of the voters come out to vote. So for every dollar they put in, they're worth 100 votes. And they put in millions to direct the results of an election. And really, that needs to stop. But so far, we haven't had any elected officials that have been strong enough to stop it and say we shouldn't do that anymore. Because
it all goes back to Citizens United again, right? I mean, when
Yes.
the Supreme Court ruled in Citizens United that corporations are people, and then and they can bring in any amount of money. So you and I can donate only up to a certain amount.
Right.
But then you have these dark money coming in, and they can donate millions of dollars. And one thing which we noticed in our analysis yesterday when I was in the meeting is not all people who put in a lot of money. Like, look at what happened with Melissa Conyers, okay? In the 7th district.
Right. She lost.
Yeah. So the amount of money that AIPAC put into Melissa's campaign was phenomenal. It was like $7 million or something like that, Mike. And then she lost. Okay, she lost to LaShawn Ford because, LaShawn Ford, we're going to hold him accountable also. So one of the things that we want to do is, after the elections, if you don't perform, Mr. Elected Representative, please remember that we pay your salary. You don't own us. You work for us. And if you guys are not going to perform your job properly, we're going to hold you accountable. So I'm still waiting for Marie to join us. I wonder what's happening. Marie is not late usually.
I'm right here.
Oh, there she is.
Marie,
I've been waiting.
when did you sneak in?
About 2 minutes ago.
But I'm showing Jody Blanco. Is that you?
Oh, you know what? I bet this is from that's my pseudonym. No, I'm kidding. It's a friend of mine who is on a call with me. So yeah.
Okay.
So good. Hey, Mohammed, well, first of all, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ignore at Your Risk segment. And
oh, there she is. Okay, Marie, if you hold on for just 1 second, let me go ahead and rename so that people know who they are listening to.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
Jody.
Where is Marie? Good
now
morning,
Jody.
Marie. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you all for listening in today. I was going to talk about a different topic out of the box, but my amazing guests are already here. So we're going to jump and dive in and for the next few minutes to talk about gun reform. One of the things, it's really interesting right now, folks, it's been taking a back seat, and I'm sure my guests will feel the same way, that Holy Cat's an incredibly important issue because of all the international craziness that is going on. We are now not talking about gun reform and gun violence and the need to curb it as much as we should, right? So today I have two amazing guests. One is Sarah Kniznik. She is the executive director of SAFE Illinois, and also a Lake County board member who's been active in the prevention of gun violence for a very long time. And then I also have Dr. Anthony Douglas, a surgery resident at University of Chicago. His specialty and passion is traumatic injuries and research in health equity and violence prevention. And today, I wanted them to come on. They're both experts in the Rifle Act. In fact, they are leading the charge in Illinois to require manufacturers to contribute to a special state's treasury fund as a requirement for licensing to sell, import, and distribute firearms in Illinois. But this is also a national effort too. So thank you both for being here. Sarah, I think I want to start with you, if you don't mind. I'd love to hear kind of the genesis for this concept of holding, and this is not new. You and I have been in the gun movement for 20 or 30 years. And when I was working with Moms Demand Action, we were always trying to find kind of innovative ways to hold the arms manufacturers, accountable, right? So can you share the genesis of this this piece of legislation, why now, where, and all of those good things? So Sarah Kniznik, please let us know.
Well, I'm delighted you asked me that question, but I do just want to make it clear to everyone that Anthony is the author of the bill. And so he is probably the best person to talk about the genesis of this particular policy. But I will speak in a more general sense and share the genesis really comes out of the fact that we have a federal law that was signed in 2005 by George W. Bush called the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. Many people refer to it as PLACA. And for decades now, that has stood between us, those of us who want to see the firearm industry share in the accountability for the damage that their products do, and our ability to get them to do that. And I have seen so many attempts over the years. I've worked for gun violence prevention at the local, state, and federal levels for almost a decade. And I've seen so many attempts to either try to get around that rule or that law. But no, I've never seen a policy like this before, one that truly goes to the underlying root cause of the issue, which is the fact that the interests of the firearm industry are not aligned with all of us, including gun owners, who want to see gun violence reduced.
Right. It's so true, right? And we've seen this as activists in the space. I'm sure Dr. Douglas will feel the same way that, as activists in the space, we know that responsible gun owners want what we want. They want safety. In fact, we all know that originally NRA was one of the greatest trainers and most revered group until LaPierre took it over and it all went to a shill organization for the manufacturers. But manufacturers do need to be held accountable. So Dr. Douglas, first of all, thank you for being here and thank you so much for authoring this bill. And I'm so glad Sarah let me know that because I didn't know that you led the charge, and it's brilliant. So from your perspective as a trauma doctor, tell us a little bit about why you kind of felt like the arms manufacturers were the way to go.
Well, thank you, Marie, for having this. I'm really excited about the legislation, but I think, for me, where it started, I started residency on the back end of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we saw historic highs in gun violence, not only in Chicago and Illinois, but across the country. And it was really, hearing the wails of mothers at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, looking down at children laid on stretchers, asking me if they're going to survive or not. It was the experience of being a trauma surgeon in a busy level 1 trauma center in Illinois, in Chicago, which Chicago is one of the busiest trauma centers in our country in terms of gun violence. And so really, my passion and the work has really spurred out of those experiences for me personally. Why I think the manufacturers are the way to go is because we've seen over the arc of history, when we align an industry's interest with prevention and safety, it makes us all safer. Whether you talk about the construction industry and the birth of workers' compensation and how that led to drastic reductions in workplace deaths and accidents. When you think about the automobile industry and Ralph Nader and his book Unsafe at Any Speed, when cars had no seatbelts, no airbags, and no rear view cameras or any of those innovations, it wasn't until we as a society forced these industries to the table of safety and safer innovation and engaging with communities to reduce the harm that their products cause. And the only way we did that was by financially tying them to their outcomes. And so I think that now we are long overdue for the firearm manufacturing industry to financially contribute to the public costs that their products generate. This has become, as Sarah mentioned, since 2005, that federal law that protects them from lawsuit and liability. This has become the number one cause of death for children and teens in our country. In 2022, it became the number one cause of pregnant women's death in our country. It's the number one means by which suicide occurs. It's the number one cause of death for active law enforcement, active duty law enforcement. So we're overdue for this type of legislation. I'm really excited about where we are.
Well, thank you. And, I am sure, being a trauma surgeon at the University, is it University of Chicago or UIC?
University of Chicago.
I'm sure, and just a quick note there, as I recall, that trauma center is out on an island, right? There's not really any other trauma center till you get over to Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's the trauma
and just folks, so you understand, if you are the unlucky victim of gun violence in the middle of that expanse, which is a long way, it's probably 20 miles, you very well not make it to the hospital. It's a very serious situation. So thank you for your good work, Dr. Douglas. So for both of you, I love I will say as a former legislator, and I'm sure Sarah would concur that hitting them where it hurts financially makes them act a lot faster, right? I mean, I'll say it bluntly and plainly. What exactly, can you give us a taste test of what the financial and health outcomes may be from where they are now to where they should be? Or, obviously it's a never ending task, but where are they right now and what would it reduce? So tell us, quantify it a little bit for us.
So I'll respond to that generally yet again and let Anthony dig a little deeper into a detailed answer to your question. But Safe Illinois, which is the nonprofit organization that I lead and founded, is about addressing the root causes of violence. We support policies and policy makers who are serious about addressing the underlying root causes of violence, all types of violence. And what I love most about this bill is the fact that even though on the surface it may sound like a gun safety bill, which of course it is, what it's really about is making sure that the folks that are doing the most evidence-backed, proven to work violence prevention work around the state, and I mean everywhere, all over the state, not only in Chicago, the funds raised through this bill will fund their work at a moment when their work is under enormous attack from the federal government. One of the things that I was really lucky to be able to do from 2020 to 2022, which overlapped with your time in Congress, Marie, was work to help get federal funding for CVI, community violence intervention, in the federal COVID relief bills. That had never, ever happened before, and that was transformational. It has led to historic reductions in firearm homicide. We just saw in 2025 the lowest level of firearm homicide in 60 years in Chicago. And I have been squarely at the center of the violence, of watching the violence prevention work here in Illinois for 10 years. And I have seen with my own eyes that those historic reductions are because of the work of CVI professionals or street outreach professionals and their partner organizations that provide wraparound services. So now is the time, after the Trump administration, not long after he was inaugurated in 2025, dramatically cut those already approved by Congress federal funds, and CVI is now under threat. So I'm going to stop there and let Anthony tell you a little bit more about how the Rifle Act will support this incredibly valuable, life-saving work all over the state. Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, Sarah hit it on the head, and I'm gonna pivot a little bit to talk about, you asked Congresswoman Newman where we are right now in terms of the industry. We are hearing a lot from our opposition about, that these guns are being possessed illegally, that, the criminals are getting a hold of their guns. Well, the truth is right now in our country, the majority of guns that are ending up in crimes are coming through legal supply chains. The ATF found that 99% of trace crime guns, the majority, 99% of them were either purchased by retail distributors or through pawn brokers. Not only that, but over half of 2 million trace firearms within 3 years of purchase ended up at the scenes of crimes. And so this notion or this narrative that, oh, there's these people who are going to acquire these guns illegally is a false narrative. These guns are ending up in our communities through legal supply chains and that this industry is very much aware of. We know that the technology exists to make firearms safer. It has existed for decades. In fact, during the Clinton administration, Smith and Wesson was negotiating with President Clinton about adding biometric technology where you could, you know, trigger your firearm with your fingerprint and your fingerprint only. But they backed away from the negotiating table because they were being blackballed by the rest of the industry from negotiating with President Clinton. And so it just goes to show you that we are dealing with the industry that recognizes that the technology exists to make firearms safer, but are choosing not to invest in that. Why? Because they don't profit from making guns safer. They don't profit from stemming illegal or interstate trafficking. They don't profit from addressing their distribution practices that ultimately lead to their firearms being in the hands of 13-year-olds in Champaign, Illinois, or Chicago, Illinois, or Rockford, Illinois, right? They profit from the fear and the trauma that their products create. And I think the worst part about all of this is while we continue to allow them to behave and maneuver in the ways that they have for the last 30 to 40 years, taxpayers are bearing the cost of this, right? Because they're shielded from liability, the consequences of their for-profit activity fall to us. And so we haven't allowed any other industry to do that in our country, and we surely shouldn't allow this one to when it is the number one cause of our children's death in this country.
Right. It is a sad statement when an industry knows they're doing something. It's really like the cigarette industry, right? It's like, you are killing people daily, minute by minute, every hour of every day, and you continue because of the almighty dollar, right? So, well, thank you both. I do want to know one quick thing, Sarah, where is the passage of the bill at? What is the status of the piece of legislation?
Well, we are thrilled to share some really good news for everyone out there who would like to see the Rifle Act signed into law in Illinois. And by the way, when that happens, if it happens this year, which is our overriding goal, Illinois will be the first state ever to.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So good news. Thank you. More good news. We achieved a roll call in the Senate several months ago through the incredible hard work and dedication of the Rifle Act Coalition. And last week, we achieved roll call in the House. So there is only one thing standing between us right now, standing between passing this bill, and that is politics. We are in the middle of an election year right now.
Yeah.
And those of you who are familiar with the history of gun violence policy making in Illinois in recent years will not be surprised to hear that the leadership in the General Assembly is not excited about asking people to vote on a gun safety bill in an election year. But I really strongly feel that they're missing the point. The fact is, this bill benefits every single taxpayer in Illinois. On top of course, the most important thing about the bill, which is it gets much needed support in the form of funding for CBI and wraparound services to victims and survivors of gun violence, the very funding they need in order to help people deal with their trauma and find positive ways to build strength and fortitude. So, please call your elected officials. Do it now. We are specifically asking people to call Senate President Don Harmon and Governor J.B. Pritzker and ask them to please make sure that the Rifle Act is passed and signed into law this year.
And brought to the floor. So folks, it's sage words from both Dr. Douglas and Sarah Kniznik from Safe Illinois. I really appreciate you both being here today, and please continue your amazing work, and Godspeed.
Marie, Mike has a question.
Oh, great. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself, Mike. Okay, while Mike is unmuting himself.
Thank you so much for coming on this show. It's so important for all the Lightning Strike listeners to hear you. And we need some information from you before you leave, and where we can get on social media and blast out this message to Harmon and Governor Pritzker. So anything you can do in that regard, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike, thank you so much. And I know we're almost over time, but I do want to say May 8th, we have an advocacy day down in Springfield. We are organizing buses from all across the state, East St. Louis, Rockford, Champaign, Chicago. We need as many able-bodied people down in Springfield on May 8th. We have the Capitol steps reserved, and so we plan to get loud and to make some noise. And also, you can follow us on Instagram and follow our journey at rifle_Illinois. We just had a post go pretty viral. We had over 300,000 views of some advocates from Illinois and across the country about why we need this done, and we need it done by May 31st. So thank you so much, Mike, and please register for our advocacy day and come down to Springfield on that Friday.
And you
Guys,
can
do let us know.
May I tell everyone where to register? You can register at safeillinois.org/events. Just go to safeillinois.org, select events, and you can register for Advocacy Day. Also, if you're anywhere near the Lake County, Cook County side of the listening area, tomorrow evening, Monday, in Highwood at 28 Mile Distillery, we will be having a town hall about the Rifle Act where anybody can come and learn a great deal more. Please come out and join us, and please go to safeillinois.org/events in order to register for both of those events. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah and Anthony. And again, if anybody is really putting the roadblocks in your way, do let us know, because we are going to hold them accountable. That's what this show is all about. You are our elected representatives. We pay your salaries. Okay, we want you to perform for us, not the special interest. And if you don't do your job, we are going to, let the whole world know that you don't deserve to be in that seat. Thank you again, Sarah. Thank you so much, Anthony. Marie, great guest, great topic. I think this
Excellent.
This needs to be brought out, and we will be posting it on our social media platforms also. We got Mayor Agadelis joining us. Good morning, John.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. I think we had a little bit of a confusion in the timing this morning, but thank you so much for joining. Marie, I don't know if you have heard about what our great governor has proposed. Now he's trying to push it through. We just had the No Kings Day, and this guy is now trying to be a king over here. John, what is the BUILD Act about, and why should we be paying attention to this?
Well, I think the governor's intentions are, he has good intent as far as he's trying to assure good, I think
affordable housing for everybody and all that.
affordable, but they're calling it kind of like mid-priced housing. So
Yeah.
I understand that he's trying to achieve affordable housing for everyone throughout the state. The issue is the bill is going to allow Springfield then to make neighborhoods in any town they want to, and dictate what the lot sizes are and what the houses are going to be. And my concern and my fear is always, this is like the central planning of the old Soviet Union. If somebody from a faraway place is making a decision, they're probably not making a good decision many times. And somebody from Springfield is just looking at a map and drawing a circle around a piece of property and saying, we're going to put this type of housing here. And maybe they've never even visited Plainfield. So
Yep.
I understand the goal, but I don't know that the idea of this being dictated from Springfield makes sense. I think local government knows their locality better and is better able to make these plans. Affordable housing is a great concern of mine. We talk about it a lot on our local level, and what we can do to try to ensure that there's all types of housings at different price points, so everybody in the community has an opportunity to live here and work here and enjoy the community. So it is priority for us as well, but I just don't think this is the right way to go about it.
Especially, John, I mean, you and I both know that, especially in our town in Plainfield, we have comprehensive land use plans. We have land usage maps.
Yeah.
All those studies that we have done. Yeah, are these guys going to be going to every little town and every village and looking at those studies before they make those decisions?
Well, and that's correct. We have infrastructure issues that we have areas that maybe there's infrastructure issues that don't lend themselves to what they're going to do. And the comp plan, yes, we just passed a comprehensive plan a couple years ago, as you know, which we spent a lot of time. We hired a professional company to study our community and to plan out what types of housing or what types of business should be. And yes, are they going to adhere to our comp plan? Are they going to put an equal amount of time into studying the community and designing where certain types of housing should be? Because we spend a lot of time and money doing it, and we shouldn't just throw that by the wayside, of course.
And my concern again also is once you let them sneak in like this, the next thing will be, oh, there's going to be a cost for this permit and this application and that application. And we all know where that train would lead to.
Well, and there's something that I just am realizing now. But in 2023, there was a law passed where local government cannot say no to a solar facility.
Yep.
I didn't realize that, but I know we have a proposed solar farm in Plainfield that will be coming before us. And if they meet the state criteria, the county board is required to vote yes, which I just find that whole idea very strange that Springfield is saying you have to vote on this, but you have to vote yes. It seems very strange and undemocratic that our elected officials on the county board level have no option but to vote yes by law. And there was a court case recently where the Will County Board was ordered, go back and vote yes because you're required to. You are not allowed to vote no on something. And that just doesn't seem right. But that law passed. It's similar in nature. I think maybe the goals there might be a little more, lofty goals of the green energy and trying to diversify away from fossil fuels. But still, the fact that local government has no option, we must vote yes.
Marie, have you ever heard of something like that in your term in Congress?
That these types of activities, and it's not unusual, honestly, in states, between states and counties and municipalities, it's not terribly unusual, but at the federal level, I'm trying to think if there's really anything super analogous. It's not the same. I mean, for the record, I don't think it's a great idea,
You can have a vote on it, but you can only vote yes.
Yeah, right. Like it's a little bit silly, and but I am glad that I do have a question, Mayor. How are you going about, like, what is your coalition to fight this thing? It sounds like you definitely tell me a little bit about the folks that you've gathered to kind of work.
Well, we've been working through the Illinois Municipal League.
Yeah.
So there's these existing organizations that fight for, what's best for our local communities, and they are working very hard, and we've been working with them quite a bit, and the mayor's conference as well. So there's a couple organizations that already exist that speak to issues that impact us locally, and they are working very hard. We feel, I will say that frankly that it seems, when Governor Pritzker sets his mind to something and he has a majority in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, he'll get something done. And the goal really is to sort of work on the details. So there's, it's not as concerning as we fear it could be, that maybe there will be more local input and to make sure that it's workable. But it seems like something, the feeling is something's going to pass. So we're trying to modify it to make it workable.
Do you have a large business contingency like the Chamber, SBA, or those folks working with the Municipal League?
We don't really. I mean, we have a Chamber of Commerce, but they don't really do too much in that regard.
So Illinois Chamber of Commerce can, and they're
the Illinois Chamber, yes,
yeah,
our local.
Go ahead and because it is. Here's the interesting thing is that while your chamber, of course, is powerful because they live there and they understand it, they have a lived experience. Illinois Chamber is kind of expert at best practices, right? So that might be a valuable input for you to bring to your next discussion to make this bill more reasonable for your municipality.
Yeah, I appreciate that. that suggestion. I'll look into that. They may be working on it already, but I don't
Right,
know.
it may be, right?
Yeah,
You
I'll
never
check.
know these things.
Yeah, they might already be, but I'll check on that as well.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you. Yeah.
John, we have a great panel with us as always today. Ray Hanania is former City Hall reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he is a former retired uh, veteran also. So, and then Mike Patino is with us today, and Chris Hilbert, and Prasad Mawaduri has joined us also. So we got some great discussions to go on. At about 9:45, we'll bring Prasad in. We got 5 more minutes to discuss this, guys. You got any suggestions for John, or any comments, Ray?
I wanted to ask the mayor about that. It seems like the crux of the provision is that they could go into a community and they could take a residential area where homes are at and decide they want to put an 8-unit building in that area. I know.
Or raw land.
Pardon me?
Or raw land. We have a lot of
Right.
open farmland yet.
Right. They could take open land, but areas that are zoned for residential homes.
Yeah.
You know, it creates the environment changes when you have these buildings, you know, these multi-unit buildings as compared to a residential home. It actually changes the environment. I bought a home in an area where there are homes, and I don't want to be near 8-unit buildings. They're just my choice, but I just don't understand why they're trying to do that. Do you think that there's another agenda behind it? Because once they open that door, they could do almost anything with it, and you know that it touches a little bit on these racial aspects about bringing low cost housing into areas, into certain communities. Do we know if there's another agenda behind what's going on with this?
I've kind of had that same question. I don't know what that would be. However, it's really unprecedented. I mean, in the history of our state, local government has zoned and approved housing or development of any sort. It's always been locally done. It's never been dictated from Springfield. So it's very against the grain of what we're used to doing here. And I think we would all agree that local people, local government has a better handle on what's going on in their community and what fits in their community better. Our Plainfield's 50,000 people. We have a very diverse community, and a real issue is affordable housing. I see new townhome developments coming in, and I ask, well, what's the starting price? Well, $500,000 minimum. What's rent on that? $3,000 a month. So it's pretty expensive. Housing is an expensive issue throughout the country, and I don't know. Some people have maybe posited that this is part of burnishing a resume for a presidential run, perhaps showing
Absolutely.
things being done.
I'm going to say absolutely, because I'm going to point out that it's ironic that he reversed the direction when it came to the grocery tax. The grocery tax was a state tax, and he wanted to be able to tell people, look, I got rid of the grocery tax. But what he ended up doing was not explaining that grocery tax was money that was committed to each of the local communities to help the community. Yeah. And you were told, hey, if you don't like it, go pass your own tax. So probably like 60% or 70% of the municipalities have or are in the process of passing it. Also, just so he could say, I eliminated the grocery tax. And of course, we see it on TV. You watch when this passes. And unfortunately, I really believe it is going to pass. He's going to have an ad when he runs for president saying, I eliminated the restrictions that prevent people from moving any place that they want to move, and then cater it to whatever audience he wants, whether it's a racial thing, whether it's a diversity issue, wherever. I think that's the motivation behind the law, because why would they tell you, who knows your community better than anybody, and the citizens on your zoning boards, what you should or shouldn't do with the property in your land, in your village? It's just wrong.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And then that's probably it. Yes, I mean, the grocery tax, we did pass our own tax to maintain that 1% grocery tax. and it was exactly what you said. It was something to toot your horn about, that I got rid of that grocery tax. I'm helping people, with lowering prices on groceries, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah, we're going to reach
but
out.
it's a shame that I mean, it's when you think about it, just on a very basic level, though, the damage that can be caused by things like this, just to make yourself look good in a run for president, and without any regard to the damage that could be caused to some local communities if these decisions from Springfield aren't right. And but I guess we're more concerned with our personal agendas, I guess.
Well, we're going to reach out to the governor also, John, and see if he wants to come in and face some lightning over here on the lightning strike.
Well, I will say Senator Capel, our state senator, had set up a meeting where he was going to come and locally and talk to us about this bill, and give us an opportunity to talk to him. And that was set up, and then they canceled it. So,
really,
yeah, they're going to get it. They're going to get this passed, and he's not going to talk about it before the vote. Believe me. He doesn't want that discussion to take place because there are too many questions about it. It just seems there's something weird and strange about it that concerns me. And because we have a world now where there's less media, there's less local coverage, there's less media coverage. This issue isn't even going to rise above all the terrible news that we have to read about, taking place on a national level. They can do what they want under the cover of this new environment, which is really sad.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We really don't have much for local media, and no
that's where we come in. That's where we come in. We are going to be holding these people accountable, and at least trying to raise some awareness so people can get to hear and know what the heck is happening in our country that we need to be concerned about.
Yeah.
And John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Sunday morning is tough for you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Again, pleasure speaking with you all. Thank you.
Mayor John Argedelis, Mayor of Plainfield, folks, joining us this morning to discuss about the BUILD Act and where the governor wants to. I think the governor wants to build himself up to be the next president. Okay, that's what I think. And on that note, let's bring in Prasad.
Hey.
Prasad, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know that we ran a little bit short on time, but that is what happens when we have discussions like this, Prasad.
The passion that is flowing down the line, I'm enjoying this actually, nice job.
So if you don't mind, if you could please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into some questions for you in the next 12 minutes that we have remaining, 13 minutes.
Hey, so my name is Prasad Mavuduri. Right now I'm actually heading a startup, in an AI startup, cognitive AI startup called Magic Carpet. Education-wise, I have a master's in engineering, and then I have an MBA from Northwestern. That's where I am. I'm a Chicago, educated guy. So I feel home here. And also, I actually lived in 9 different countries, and mostly at least 5 different countries in the Middle East. Now it's burning. And then, of course, I lived in a wonderful place, New Zealand, Singapore, of course, India, and here. And also, I have at least 7 process patents right now, and then now I patented another AI process. It's under review right now. I applied for patent. And
Prasad, I want to start off with something that is of great concern to most people, right?
Yes.
How is AI going to impact jobs in the economy? What are the major trends that are going to be appearing in society, and what should we be aware of?
So I think AI definitely has changed the whole equation, especially the jobs and economy, and the downward trend of the psychology, the psychological effect on people, and many other things. In fact, there will be a lot of social unrest as well if things are not taken care of very well. I think what's happening, most important thing that's happening is labor compression, right? And that's one thing. That means people who could, 10 people could do a job now could be done by half a person, similarly. And also what is really alarming is the velocity shock. The way AI is growing every day, and also people learning and how to use it and all that. And then the transition lag. I'm okay with the real advent of AI, and Ray was talking about, oh no, taken out of my brain, taken my brain out, and they made me to follow the machines and so much, and we are dependent on them. That's fine probably, but the problem is if the progress in AI can also take the labor market along with it, and on all of that, then it's fine. But there is a big transition lag. Okay, that's the problem. So in fact, what is happening, Mohammed, is that now because of AI, right? Because of the efficiency, because of the productivity, the output is so high, and then we are losing. The economy is becoming like a hourglass. Basically the top heavy and bottom heavy. And the good news is the senior people, the architects, and all that stuff, they can leverage a lot of things because they need the AI management. But the normal jobs, the analysts, the coordinators, mid-level guys, and all those guys are losing jobs. Okay, they're losing jobs, and maybe their relevance becomes lower and lower. But the lower bottom tier of people, the jobs especially, is that they are going to be very good because, for example, whatever you cannot avoid keeping humans in, you have to have them. Like you have the people in food industry or human centric, physical therapy, healthcare, and agriculture, and all these things, they will stay. So now we have to readapt the whole thing and redefine the work very structurally. Okay, so basically now there is no such thing as full-time employment. Okay, it used to be full-time employment. Now it's income and identity. Portfolio-based employment. Right? What you do is AI augmented work, entrepreneurship. That's everything. Every person now should look at entrepreneurship, and whatever small they could do with AI, they should become that. They should actually get into entrepreneurship and start something towards it and do it. And of course they get the creative output. Now the challenge is so much, and also another problem that we have is the skilling. Right, we now the traditional colleges. Okay, I'll take 4 years to.
That's where I was going to go with my next question.
Yeah,
Prasad, and our education system sucks. Okay,
absolutely.
There's no two things about it. When I was running for office in 2019, when I was running for Congress, that was one of my main platform issues, was our education system sucks.
Yes.
We do not have to spend 4 years and come out with a $200,000 loan with no job at the end of it.
In fact, it's a big scam, right? We are producing a lot of, undergrads and grads with a promise of work or economic output, but actually taking a long time and making them irrelevant to the pace of the technology and the society, right? That's a big problem. In fact, the education has also become a lot abstract. That means there is no practical training. There is no real world examples for them. But so there is always a gap for the persons who are coming out of the colleges to have a training, 6 months or 1 year, whatever that is. But now we can't afford that the way AI especially is taking over, right? So now you have to have the 3 to 6 months skilling cycles, very quick. It has to be, and also it has to be stackable credentials. Okay, you don't have to know the whole world. Previously, you have to learn everything and come out and then do something probably more irrelevant to that. But now it's not like that. You have to learn something, get into jobs or create economic value, and then keep on, stacking the credentials, right? And then also they have to be there's no other way now. AI has become part of life. It has to be AI native training. Everybody should learn how to use AI, just like you learned about the maps array, with a lot of difficulty. But yeah, you have to do that. And then, so the point I'm trying to do is that you learn, apply, monetize, and reiterate. This is the cycle that has
the whole paradigm is changing. I think
Yes.
You're so right. We got about 5 minutes to finish off the show, Prasad.
Yeah.
What is this nuclear bomb that we are talking about in AI called the Mythos? I mean, most people are not aware of this, but this is a technology that is coming in that is freaking everyone out. What is it?
Absolutely. This is a step change in AI capability. It started as a good thing, right? Basically what it's supposed to do is basically give you an artificial intelligence to find out the vulnerabilities in systems. If you remember, a few years back, we had a trip in one of the electric grids in Toronto, and it tripped the whole East Coast, eastern part of Midwest part of yeah, America. If you remember that, like
Yep.
all it had happened is one small thing that happened. Now imagine that times 1,000 times. Okay, 1,000, right? So that is the problem now. What is happening is the Mythos has started as a project, as a new release or a new this thing to help the vulnerabilities of the systems. But if it falls in the wrong hands, imagine now,
Then you
right?
can exploit
You
those
have the
vulnerabilities. Yeah.
infrastructure, you have the cybersecurity, you have the financial systems, everything is under threat. In fact, that is the reason why. In fact, yesterday, my Anthropic CEO has gone to meet the president or the White House exactly. They had a meeting with that. In fact, now there is another war in AI, field that they're talking about a project Glasswing. It's supposed to be secret. They
Okay.
want to really fight out this mythos. Okay, so it is basically trying to do the productivity shock, and is going to give, and cost compression, and then also it gives a new various new industrial ways in better way and wrong way as well. It's very, very dangerous. It can find the vulnerabilities. Also, it can create vulnerabilities.
That is the thing. I think
That's
Mike has a question for you, Prasad.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, good morning.
Good
Thank
morning,
you
Mike.
so much. Very interesting stuff. Have you or anybody like you done an analysis about how dangerous this could be if it gets in the wrong hands? Like you
Absolutely. It's a
and sent it to anybody like a legislator or law enforcement, and is there any rules or laws or anything to protect us from that?
Actually, there is no such thing as a law. Basically, it's a software. But now, at least right now, the U.S. government has called, the Mythos guys, the Anthropic guys, to the White House yesterday because they are worried about this. Because now, if it falls into, the whole defense could go wrong, and your financial systems are very, archaic right now, and they could be blown out in one day, and it's so dangerous. But now they're trying to stop it. But I don't know what happens. It could be challenged in the courts as well. But nothing to stop it.
Well, we are
Nothing.
coming up to the end of the show of the program today.
Thank you.
Prasad, what is the recent thing that you have filed a patent on? What is this magic carpet about? If you can explain that in 30 seconds.
Yeah, Magic Carpet is a AI cognitive co-pilot to help sales. But what happens is the sales are now, the conversion rate is very low, like between 1 to 5%. What Magic Carpet does is basically gives you all the information about the person, the company, the sector, the financial news. It also tells you how to start the conversation, like dating game, like how to start the conversation, cut the ice, and then also it'll prepare you with the objections that a customer could make and all that stuff, and also do all the agentic, the tasks like sending an email, writing a proposal, and all that stuff. That is what it does in one small application, and it is supposed to give a lot of sales and increase the economic value. But remember, this AI thing that I'm doing is a cognitive one. It has the man in the middle. Okay, it's
Okay.
not removing the people. I know it's artificial, but it is actually collating and giving power to the people.
Okay, thank you so much, Prasad, and we will continue the conversation. This is a very fascinating conversation. Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to dive into this in more detail today because
Thank you, Mohammed. Actually, I actually done some economic equations. You know how the output will happen, what will happen, what's the doomsday. But next time, maybe. Thank you.
We'll definitely want to bring you back on, folks. You've been listening to the Lightning Strike on WCPT 820 AM, Chicago's progressive talk radio station. I'm your host, Muhammad Fahim. Joining me today on the show is Ray Hanania, Chris Hilbert, Mike Patino, Congresswoman Murray Newman with her guest, and also we had Mayor John Argidelis joining us today as a guest, and Prasad Mawaduri, or is it Mawaduri, or is
Mawaduri, like Carleone, Gambini, like Italian, you know.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. We'll be signing off for the day today on WCPT, and you can always go back and listen to the show on our YouTube channel. We'll be posting it in a couple of days. And
the preceding program, The Lightning Strike, was sponsored by Mohammed Fahim.
So much for listening. We'll be back with you next week.
Their guests.
Thank you.
The views and
Bye-bye.
opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of Heartland Signal, LLC, or its management.